What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Young Rich Podcast. Today, here I am from my bedroom, straight from my bedroom. So again, lighting's a little bit of a mess. My room is right behind me, so it's not like a normal background, right? Still got a lot of sports stuff right there. Obviously, you see my clothes on my bed, okay? This is straight like a streamer setup. Here we are, boom. I didn't have any of my stuff at my house today, okay? Instead of driving to the office to go get all my stuff and take a setup, here I am right now because I wanted to get it to it as fast as possible, okay? Listen. Hey, listen, I'm this year. I know it's already 3 months into the year, okay. But this year, I'm focused on nothing else but myself. I'm on my coaching grind, okay. I'm on my trying to see what I can do with coaching, right. I am trying to see what I can do with podcasting. So for the rest of this year and going forward, I'm starting to focus more on myself, okay. Lately, I've been pushing stuff off. I've been not, being active on. I've been busting my ass when it comes to working, school, and coaching, right. Making sure that's my number one priority right now. Seeing where I can go with that. But, okay, right now I haven't been posting, and it's been a while since I've been updating on TikTok and YouTube and getting active on my podcast again, okay? So here I am. This year is the year, right? We're pushing the goal by the end of the year is have 10,000 subs on here, get more active on Spotify, okay, get more active on TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff. Because when I was posting a lot, there was a lot of good support. I was getting a decent amount of views on my TikToks and my videos. So here we are again, back at it, okay? Today, free agency has officially kicked off, okay? It's Monday, boom. I believe there's still some stuff going on. I have my phone on D&D for this current moment, okay? Today, I want to talk specifically about the Las Vegas Raiders, okay? My Las Vegas Raiders last year, again, I had high hopes with Geno Smith coming in, Pete Carroll coming in, bringing in some of his guys. I thought it was going to be better, having Ashton Genty, okay? We had a lot of issues, internal issues. We had coaching guys. Chip Kelly didn't feel like he could run the offense he wanted to run. Pete Carroll looked like he had that old style, Seattle type football, which was mid at best, okay? We had great years in Seattle, some good years with Geno Smith, okay? But overall, it was a shit show, right? I mean, Geno Smith looked like nothing like what I thought we were going to get from Geno Smith. I thought we were about to get a top 12 to 15 quarterback, and we didn't even get that, okay? I thought Ashton Genty was going to have a remarkable year. Brock Bowers was banged up. Our offensive line guys weren't playing their actual positions. Jackson Powers, he goes on a lot of podcasts and talks vocally about how he wants to play center, right? And he was getting moved to guard and tackle and moving all the way around the offensive line. Colton Miller gets injured, one of our better linemen, okay? So now we're in a situation where everything went downhill, okay? Again, Max Crosby finished the year banged up. He wasn't happy the way the year ended when they forced him not to play those last two games, okay? And so overall, it's a shit show, okay? And I was on the side. We're talking about Fernando Mendoza being this guy for this next year, being the franchise quarterback. And, there's a lot of guys saying, hey, he's going to be a good number one pick. He's a leader. He's got all the intangibles as a leader of a football team. He in the big clutch moments in college, he showed you he was there for the big moments. Game-winning drives on the road in the Big Ten in college football, which is tough to do, okay, against Penn State, right? And you've seen what he did in the playoffs, right? He had so many on the road big-time moments, big-time game-winning drives that just, made him a clear-cut number one, okay? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I think Fernando Mendoza's potential is going to be a top 5 quarterback, right? Because I don't. I think he's going to be more of a game manager, right? And if the system around him is great, then he's going to play good and phenomenal, right? I think he has a capability of being a Jared Goff, but better, right? I think he has higher upside than a Jared Goff. And we've seen what Jared Goff did, okay? Early in his career with Sean McVay and the Rams and what he's doing right now with the Detroit Lions. So I do think if you build a good team around him, you could find a lot of success. But he's not going to be somebody like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Joe Burrow that could just make up for a lot of flaws in your offense and you're going to be okay, right? And so I think right now bringing in Kubiak as our new head coach, the direction he's trying to put us in, I think is phenomenal, right? You've seen Seattle turn into one of the highest run heavy teams in the NFL last year. You've seen Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet early in the year splitting carries. They both look like a good 1-2 punch combo. And you've seen the success that Sam Darnold just had, playing with a good run game, having a good defense, right? And as long as he limited the mistakes, you've seen what happened. He became a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Sam Darnold, someone who when he was coming out of college, because I'm a USC fan, I'm a diehard. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be unbelievable. He's going to rejuvenate. He's going to change the identity of the New York Jets. That's how much confidence I had as him as a quarterback coming out of college, right? And, obviously it doesn't happen. Boom, boom, boom. finds his way to Seattle. Okay, here he is, and then this has been the story of the NFL the last couple years. Is he's the resurrection of our careers, right? Sam Darnold, Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith has a little bit of a some rights to wrong to finish his career. To say it was a good career at least, right? But Sam Darnold, the Baker Mayfields, all these guys that go to different teams, and now you start seeing other players. Malik Willis just got signed by Cleveland. So now the identity of this resurrection of your career is a true story, and you see a lot of quarterbacks getting more opportunities, and a lot of players, teams taking chances on guys to see if that same story, they could have the next Sam Darnold, they could have the next Geno Smith, they could have the next Baker Mayfield, the guy who comes in and rejuvenates and helps your team become better, become good, competent football team, okay? Because one thing as a Las Vegas Raiders fan, I saw a statistic the other day, our last 10 head coaches all had losing records. Yeah, and that's with John Gruden, right? Whose first year wasn't amazing. And then we had that second year where we had Henry Ruggs firing it off. We had Darren Waller, who was one of the better tight ends in the league. Josh Jacobs had his best year of his career. And that was it. He gets fired halfway through the year, so his record looks a little iffy, right? Whatever. But, we've just had terrible head coaches for the last 10 years, our last 20 years, since those John Gruden Raider years. Really, that was it. And he came to us twice. And then we traded him away early 2000s, late 90s, whatever it was, okay? And so now, bringing in Kubiak, he's a run-heavy guy, right? And I am a believer of we have to play through Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, okay? Last year, Brock Bowers was, again, banged up, so you didn't see his true potential. But I think everybody knows he's a clear-cut, the best tight end in football. And if you don't think that, you got to watch some more film, okay? George Kittle's old and aging, right? He's continuously being injured. He's continuously hurt. But when he's in the game, he's amazing, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge George Kittle fan. Travis Kelce, aging, right? I mean, he had a decent career, a decent season last year, not compared to his high caliber standards, right? But so all this stuff is going on, right? And now it has come to a point to where I just need an identity of this team, okay? Last year, we, early on, it was like we weren't trying to give Genty enough touches, and then we were playing behind the sticks. We were playing behind in games, right? And Geno Smith just was, I think he led the NFL in interceptions last year before he played the whole year. I lied. But he led the NFL in interceptions last year. So it has just been just a shit show last year compared to what I thought it was going to be, okay? But now, getting into it, after today's free agency move, which we're going to get into in a minute, listen, I'm so excited for what we're doing and the direction we're going in, okay? First things first, we traded Max Crosby, okay? I love the guy to death. I have his jersey hanging up right behind me. It's on my little rack right there, okay? He is an unbelievable player. I love Max Crosby to the core. He sat with us. He dealt with us. He was obviously trying to push to be a better team overall, because you don't want to be a good player on a bad team, right? And a good player, you don't want to be a great player, great to good player, wherever you want to rank him, right? I think he's a top 6 pass rusher at worst, right? In my eyes, okay? But you don't want to see players like that go on the path where they don't ever do anything, for their career, anything successful. He's played in one playoff game in his career, okay, and even then we got bounced in the first round to Cincinnati, okay, and other than that, he's had remarkable years, good seasons. But I mean, our defense has been so bad that it's literally he's getting doubled, and that's it. That's our entire pass rush, right? Last year we thought Malcolm Kuntz was going to be a guy to give us some more help on that edge, right? And then coming off that ACL injury, okay, so he was kind of 2 years out of the mix, and now he's coming back in, boom, okay, who we also re-signed today, again, is something else to get into, okay, but Max Crosby getting traded for the 14th pick in the 2026 draft and a first-round pick in 2027. Listen, he got traded to the Baltimore Ravens. Again, I think he's going to be unbelievable in that with that system, with that team, a culture that's built defensively. You think about the Baltimore Ravens of the early days, the early 2000s, right? Those Ray Lewis, Ed Reed led teams, right? You were a defensive-oriented team, and they have great defensive players, right? They had a slow start to the season. They're really up and down, right? Getting in a new defensive head coach, I think that could change their consistency on the defensive side of the ball, right? So now you're giving Max Crosby more help, right? You have a great D-tackle. You have a great secondary. You have some great linebackers. That whole defense is built talent-wise to succeed and to win and to go deep into the playoffs. So as a Max Crosby fan, I love it. Listen, I'm sad he has to go, right? I would like nothing more than him to be the focal point of us and helping us change the identity of our team and for the last 25 years, but it just didn't happen. I believed he needed to be traded, right, to do this exactly. Give us more draft capital, give us more shots of the gun, okay, and see what we can build. Because obviously you have to hit on your picks, which we haven't been doing. Tyree Wilson, who was a bust. I didn't want to draft him in the first place, okay? You go before that, we drafted Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama, was off our team in a matter of like a year, okay? And then I can just go on and on about how many first round picks we missed on, okay? It has just been unbelievable how many picks we've missed on, okay? And now we have a chance again to come here and see what we got, okay? So again, you trade them for 2 first round picks, 14th pick this year, right? And now you have that cap space opening up, which again, this is the right thing to do, the right direction, and you get the 14th pick, okay? 14th pick. I've seen mock drafts. They're supposed to take a guard out of Penn State. I can't pronounce his name, okay? He's sitting there around 14. But you also have these conversations about the receivers, the running backs. Is Jeremiah Love? Well, obviously we won't get Jeremiah Love, right? But with the Chiefs just signing Kenneth Walker right now, where would he drop, right? So maybe these moves, these free agency moves, start to change the way the draft is going to play out, right? So maybe there's a chance we get a Mekhi Lemon, a Jordan Tyson, for the 14th pick, right? Maybe we don't go offense line. Maybe we go defense. So there's a whole lot of different scenarios that I'm interested to see how everything plans out. Who takes what? Who stays where they need their needs? Or is there just a player out there that now he dropped to us because other needs have been filled, so now we're just taking the best player available, right? So there's a possibility we can get a Jordan Tyson, a Mekhi Lemon, who I would absolutely love to have on our team. Both of them would be unbelievable in my eyes, right? Okay, so now you have this 14th overall pick, right? And what I like what John Spytek did was he didn't go for a team like New England that just would give us the 31st pick, or he didn't go for a high, ceiling team that finished so good in the regular season. He went to a team that was just 8-9, right? And typically, if you're 8-9, your pick is not that high, right? So we got a high value first round pick, top half, 2 picks in the top 14 picks, which is unbelievable for us, whether we trade out or whatever we want to use that pick to do, whether we use it and keep it and just draft, okay? And so now I'm liking the direction we're going, and now we have the Ravens pick next year. Who's to say Lamar Jackson doesn't get hurt again and misses the entire season? And now we're back to back 2 picks in the first round, and good quality picks, right? So there's a lot of things that I'm excited to see, okay? I'm interested to see how things play out. And now I love Max Crosby to death, but maybe I'm praying on a little bit of a downfall of the Ravens again, right? Maybe just to give us a better pick for next year. More draft capital, which I love, okay? So again, the needs we needed this year, okay? Secondary, defense completely. We need spots absolutely everywhere, right? Okay, and that's exactly what we did. We got aggressive. We went out here and we spent the most money today, at least. Okay, we traded for Teron Johnson from Buffalo, who again we got him for a 5th and a 6th round pick. Okay, and I think he's actually really good. I don't think he's, like Aaron Rodgers said, a top corner in the NFL, right? Because he could tackle, he can guard, he can play in the slot, he can play on the outside, right? He can move around. He's a very versatile player. Okay, but when we get Teron Johnson for a 5th and a 6th, and I think he's better than a 5th and a 6th for what he's going to be able to play for. He's going to be our cornerback 2, whatever you want to talk about, comparing him to Eric Stokes, okay? But I love this addition here. We needed more help in the secondary. We just did that, okay? So now we have 2 starting caliber corners, whatever you want to rate them, however you want to say it, in Eric Stokes and Teron Johnson, right? And we got him for cheap, for nothing. And Aaron Rodgers is talking about this guy as one of the most underrated players in the league. So now that's looking to me, if you go to a team that's going to try to build a better defense than what you had in Buffalo, right? That just means, for me, I think this guy's going to be a baller for us. And then Eric Stokes, we waited for this guy when he was drafted out of Georgia, out of Green Bay. I thought it was going to be remarkable then. It didn't really pan out. And now he comes to the Raiders and he played really, really well, right? So now you get him some more help. You get him some pass rusher help, okay, which is something that we desperately need, okay? And then we need some linebacker help. And that's exactly what we attacked today. We had a Teron Johnson. We extended Eric Stokes 3 years, $30 million, which I think is a very good deal for what we got from Eric Stokes. Hopefully he continues to progress and improve his game. We re-signed Malcolm Coombs for 1 year, $11 million, which to me, this is just adding another depth piece, right? Tyree Wilson, he's got 1 more year left on his rookie deal, so maybe he pops out. Maybe he finally figures it out in year 4. I doubt it, but who knows? I can only pray for the best, okay? And then you bring back Malcolm Coombs, who again, it was 2 years ago, okay, 1.5 years ago, where he had the most sacks in the second half of the season, right, to end the season. And we thought coming into year 3 he was going to be unbelievable. He tears his ACL during training camp. We missed him all last year. He comes back from injuries, clearly not the same, okay? So maybe this is the year, right? prove it deal. You're on a 1-year deal, right? To make yourself another contract to stay in the league, stay relevant, right? And so maybe this is the year. One more year coming off his ACL injury, one more year for that PT to take care of his body, make sure he feels great. And now he gets to go in there and his defense will be better, right? More one-on-one opportunities, hopefully, is what we're hoping for here. Okay? And then you get Kwity Paye from the Indianapolis Colts, right? 30.5 career sacks in his career, right? 3 years, $48 million. Again, this is just going to help with our edge rush, okay? I don't think we have enough at that position all the way around to really, dominate. But I think that's a good addition. Somebody who's going to get out there is going to give us pressure against the opposing quarterbacks, right? Which is in our division. I mean, listen, 3 teams made the playoffs in our division, and we weren't one of them, right? Denver was arguably, one bonus injury away from being in the Super Bowl, going against the the Seattle Seahawks, okay? And the number one thing for us, you've seen what happened to Patrick Mahomes last year for Kansas City. I apologize. They didn't make the playoffs either, okay? But you've seen it with Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Their detriment, what ended their careers or the season last year, was the ability to get after the quarterback. Their lackluster offensive line, getting after the quarterback, is what won Seattle Super Bowls, okay? It's what made Denver so elite, right, on their historic year last year. So this is obviously a need we had to address. Losing Max Crosby, you're losing a lot of pressures, sacks, all that stuff, right? And how impactful he was for our team, okay? Now, I think we got better after this. I think we're going to be a better, well-rounded team since we traded Max Crosby, right? It opened a lot of avenues for us and attack. I wish we would have done this in previous years, trying to address, needs we needed to fill, okay? But clearly we didn't, okay? And then to go along with it, we added Jalen Nailor, 3-year, $35 million from the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this was a little bit of controversial addition to some people on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to say. People talk about that he's a wide receiver 3. We overpaid for a wide receiver 3. It depends who we're going to draft. How does that look for Vegas? Where is he going to go in the depth chart and all this stuff, where he's going to play? I think he has the ability to be a remarkable, good, high-quality number 2, okay? I think that's where he's going to make most of his money. I think he's going to outplay this contract seriously, okay? I think he played alongside Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, okay? That's 2 amazing receivers, right? And Minnesota had 3 ridiculous receivers, okay? That's why Sam Darnold had so much success when he was there, okay? And so now you're adding Jalen Nailor, who I think is a remarkable route runner. I'm not going to say he's an elite route runner, but he's a remarkable route runner. He can win his one-on-ones. He creates separation, right? And I will say he benefited from being next to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, but I still think he's got something to give. I think he's going to outplay this contract. And in 3 years, we're going to be talking about a receiver that's maybe a 1,000-yard receiver. Maybe he's going to be a 1,100,000-yard receiver alongside Brock Bowers, who I think is going to get most of the attention. So I think he's going to have a big year this year. It allows our younger guys less pressure, right, to see they don't have to be the number 1 receiver in our locker room unless we draft somebody else or we make another move. But I think it's a huge piece for us. In addition, I think it's going to be phenomenal for us, right, in Gary Kubiak's offense, right, which we've seen with Sam Darnold how good he was and how effective he was. So I think this is a good addition for us. I think it's going to be amazing for us. And I think in 2 years, we're going to be like, wow, this is one of the best additions that we had this offseason. Now, stuff gets interesting. Okay, Nakobe Dean, 3 years, $36 million extension, 55 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in 10 games last year. Listen, he was one of the most important pieces on this defense. Okay, I'm going to say it just like that. Yes, Jordan Davis and their that D line that they had last year was super impactful, but when Nakobe Dean wasn't in the game because of injuries and he wasn't in the starting lineup, you seen the Philadelphia Eagles look like they were missing something. Those were the games where they just couldn't get as much fun stops and they just weren't having much success defensively, right? And I think Nakobe Dean, obviously, he's a very high caliber player. I think he's going to be an amazing player for us, okay? Especially when he has, that's a huge piece that we need, okay? But I think Nakobe Dean, again, is somebody who's a little bit underrated, right? For how I think he's going to play this year, right? I think he's an amazing pickup. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player for us. I think there's really nothing else to say. I mean, listen, he helped this team, this Philadelphia Eagles team, go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they lost last year in dramatic fashion to the San Francisco 49ers, but I think it's an amazing pickup. And then you talk about another one. We needed more linebacker help. Here we go. Quay Walker, 3 years, $40.5 million. Okay, listen, Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, listen, I'm loving the way this is already playing out. 2 of the the two of the best linebackers in this free agency. Obviously, I think they're the two best, right? We went out there, we paid them, we got them, boom, signed, deal, delivered. I'm super happy with how aggressive we were in free agency. Did we have to overpay a couple guys? Sure. But listen, we wanted to get our guys. We're trying to take this, New England Patriots type leap, okay? Bringing in a lot of veterans, bringing in a lot of guys who have proven to be successful and great players in other organizations. So now the question is, can we replicate their success, okay? And I think we're definitely, I think we should. Some of these guys could have even career years. Who knows, right? Again, I think these were amazing pickups so far, and not even the best pickup of the day. Center Tyler Linderbaum, 3-time All-Pro from the Baltimore Ravens, right? 3 years, $81 million. We made him $26 million per year as a center, which is $9 million more than any other, the second highest paid center in Creed Humphreys from Kansas City. Okay, listen, this was an overpay. Absolutely, right? Nobody was offering this type of money, but guess what? If we want our guy, go out and go get him. I'm never going to say anything about trying to go get a guy that we believe is going to help transform our offense and transform our team, okay? And I think he's one of those players. I think he's one of the best centers in the game, okay? I think if you just watch his film, right, watch what he does for the Baltimore Ravens in that scheme, right, he's an unbelievable player, right? And when you come from Kubiak here, right, we're trying to transition and transform the way we play football. We want to be a run-heavy team and have a great running back like Ashton Jeanty do his thing and take the load off a young rookie's quarterback's arms, right? Make it easier for them, put them in less stressful situations, more third and manageables, allow Ashton Jeanty to be a highlight reel player, okay? And this changes that. We're changing our identity of a team. Now you go get a center who's a veteran, he has experience, he's used to playing in a run-heavy offense. Kubiak wants to create a run-heavy offense, and we still have Colton Miller as a tackle, right? We have some guys. Jackson Powers, can he make that transition from center to guard? There's real opportunity for us to dominate the run game this year, which is something that Ashton Jeanty, if you watched him play last year, you know how unremarkable he is as a talent, as a player, even in the limited success he had last year, which wasn't always his fault, okay? I think he was number one in yards getting hit before, like yards in the backfield or whatever it was, right? He was the most, he led the NFL in getting hit closest to the line of scrimmage in the backfield, right? And he had the most broken tackles before whatever yards it was, whatever. But yeah, it was terrible for Ashton Jeanty last year for a rookie running back to come into a place where we had no offensive line, didn't help out Geno Smith, and boom, right? Didn't help out Ashton Jeanty either. So now we bring in a guy like this, Tyler Linderbaum, one of the best centers in football, okay, probably one of the best linemen in football, right? Bring him in, and here we go. And then I just couldn't be more excited, right? We attacked the needs day one of what we needed to address, okay? Again, people were talking about making jokes about we're just emptying the clip. Boom, 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 boom. Just get whoever you want, get what your guys, and let's go. Let's do it early, let's do it quick, let's do it fast. And I don't mind it, right? Because now we talk about all that, because I was hearing, us and Jordan Davis trade talks, right? There was a little noise there, talking about us maybe getting Tariq Woolen. There's a lot of guys out here who possibly you still make a move for, right? One more move, and then boom, we're looking at a very good team, compared to what we've been, okay? That's what when I refer to good, that's what I'm saying, okay? A competent roster, okay? Now the question becomes, can Fernando Mendoza come in here and play competent football, right? Again, rookies dominating in year one, I don't think it's a normal expectation to have, okay? I think there's going to be some bumps and some bruises early on, especially that first year, but to make a more competent roster, right? Number one job goal as a head coach is to make sure your rookie quarterback's protected, make sure your rookie quarterback has a decent run game to help take the load off his shoulders, and I think we're doing that, right? And then you add Jalen Naylor, maybe we add another receiver in the draft that we can get some good production from, okay? But so far, I'm loving what Kubiak is doing. He's changing the identity of the Las Vegas Raiders. We're transforming our identity to be a run-heavy offense, and I think that's the recipe to win. He proved he could lead an offense, calling plays in Seattle, doing it with what he did, and I think Ashton Jeanty is a better running back than Kenneth Walker. I think, outside of JSN, we actually have, we could end up having a deeper receiving core than they had this year, depending on if we sign in another receiver, or if we make a, trade for Mekhi Leonard or something, okay? But I'm super, super excited for what happened today in free agency, right? I'm not going to lie, and I said this last year, I was super excited for the Raiders season this year, okay? I haven't been this excited for a Raiders roster since Derek Carr got injured in the playoffs what was it, 2016, okay, that we were 12-4, right? We were made into the playoffs and we didn't play without Derek Carr. That, after that, you really think to yourself, okay, we're gonna be back to the playoffs, we're gonna be back to competing. Boom. Okay, so I'm super excited for this roster, super excited for this team. I'm super excited to see how this draft plays out, because again, there's a lot of opportunities and things going on in my head of, maybe we trade up an extra couple picks to get another receiver to help out our rookie quarterback, which I would absolutely love. Again, I am super excited for the Las Vegas Raiders this upcoming year. I will get into the rest of free agency and other trades and all that stuff later throughout the week. Let a couple more apples fall, a couple more, pen to paper type things happen, and we'll get into it. But with that being said, hopefully you all enjoyed today's episode. It'll be a smaller episode today, talking about specifically the Las Vegas Raiders and our free agency signings so far. With that being said, hopefully like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you give me a 5-star rating, as it helps the algorithm. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram. Links will be in the description below. With that being said, see ya.